The room stank of sour wine and iron, of sweat trapped beneath linen and the sharp, clean bite of boiled cloth. King Robert Baratheon had always filled a chamber without trying, by laughter, by rage, by the simple weight of him. Yet now he seemed reduced to the brutal facts of flesh. The boar's tusk had opened him from rib to hip. The maester's stitches pulled tight when he breathed, and every breath was a contest he refused to lose. Eddard Stark stood close enough to hear the wet rasp deep in Robert's chest, close enough to see that beneath the pain there was an unbroken will, stubborn as the stag on the banners, refusing to bow even to blood loss. "You look like 7 kinds of shit," Robert muttered, and for an instant it was the old Robert speaking, the one who had dragged Ned through snow and battlefields, the one who had drunk until dawn and then demanded more. Ned forced himself to meet the king's eyes. They were less bright than they had been, but they were clear enough to understand. "You sent for me," Ned said. "I sent for my hand." Robert's mouth twisted, a half-smile that became a grimace. "Pycelle says I should sleep. Pycelle says I should drink his milk." His gaze flicked toward the old maester. "Pycelle has said a great many things in his long life." Pycelle bowed, trembling with offended dignity. "Your Grace, the poppy eases. The poppy dulls," Robert snapped. "I'm not dead yet. I'm not a corpse to be kept quiet while wolves and lions gnaw my bones." Cersei's face did not move. Only her green eyes shifted, cold and bright as cut glass. "Husband," she said softly, a word made into a blade. "You should not exhaust yourself." Robert's laugh came out as a cough. He tasted blood. He wiped his mouth with the back of his hand like a soldier, like a man unwilling to be seen as weak. "You'll tell me what I should do now, will you?" His gaze slid to Ned again. "Tell me what you found." Ned's throat tightened. He had rehearsed this a dozen times on the walk from the Tower of the Hand, and still the words refused to sit easy in his mouth. Some truths were poison even when they were true. He opened the book again, its pages scarred from use. Ink faded where generations of careful hands had traced it. The lines were there. Baratheon black hair, always. Lannister gold, always. And in the faces of Robert's children. Joffrey's sneer, Myrcella's sweetness, Tommen's shy smile. There was not a trace of Robert's blood. "The late Lord John Arryn," Ned began, keeping his voice low, "spent his last days looking into the lineages of the great houses. He found something that disturbed him. I believe I have found the same." Cersei stepped forward, her skirts whispering across the rushes. "This is not the time for—" "Hold your tongue," Robert said, and the room went still. Even Pycelle's breath caught. Robert's eyes had sharpened, the haze of pain burning away under something older and hotter. Ned did not look at her. He did not look at Joffrey either, though he could feel the Boy King's presence in the corridor beyond the door, restless, pacing, eager for his father to die so he could wear the crown like a toy. Ned looked only at Robert. "The children are not yours," he said. Silence. A candle popped. The sound was thunder in the stillness. Robert stared, as though he had not heard, as though the world had offered him words that made no sense. Then his face changed, not to disbelief, but to comprehension, swift and terrible. Rage tried to rise, but pain pinned it, twisting it into something more controlled. His hand gripped the sheet until his knuckles whitened. "Say it again," he whispered. Ned's mouth was dry. "Joffrey, Myrcella, and Tommen are not of your seed." Cersei's expression finally moved. It was slight, an almost invisible tightening at the corner of her mouth, the faintest lift of her chin. But in that motion lay the admission of guilt, the refusal to beg, the pride that would rather burn a city than bow her head. Robert's eyes were on her now. "Is it true?" he asked, and there was a rawness in it that Ned had never heard in him, not even on the Trident when he'd found Rhaegar's rubies in the mud. Cersei did not flinch. "What does it matter?" she said. "They are the children the realm knows. They are the heirs the lords have sworn." Robert made a sound like a growl. Barristan Selmy's hand moved toward his sword hilt without thinking, the instinct of a man who had stood beside kings when they turned violent. Ned's own fingers tightened around the book. Robert's voice came out low, poisonous. You, he swallowed, forced the breath. You put another man's sons in my bed and called them mine. They are not another man's sons, Cersei said, and her eyes flicked toward the door, toward where Jaime would be. They are my sons, my blood. Mine. Robert's gaze followed hers like a dog catching scent. Something in him steadied, hardened. Pain did not matter. Betrayal mattered. The realm mattered. Fetch my brother, Robert said.
Ned blinked.
Your grace. Stannis. Robert's teeth bared. Send for Stannis Baratheon. Now, send riders to Dragonstone and the Stormlands both. Send ravens to every lord who matters. Seal the letters with my hand and my seal. I want no lies to slip through this wound. I want no games. Pycelle stepped forward, aghast. Your grace, the journey from Dragonstone, will be shorter than my patience, Robert snapped. He turned to Barristan.
Ser Barristan.
You'll see it done. And you, Stark. His eyes cut back to Ned. You'll write what I tell you. No soft words.
No courtesies.
Cersei's voice was silk over steel. You mean to set aside your own children? Robert's laugh was bitter. My children. He spit the words like rotten meat.
No.
I mean to name my heir. His eyes shone with something near triumph, as if the pain had clarified what he'd always avoided. I should have done it years ago. Ned felt the ground shift under his feet, as if the red keep itself had moved. Stannis will not be loved, he said carefully. The realm can choke on its love, Robert growled. The realm needs a king who will not be fooled by a pretty face and a golden smile. His gaze burned into Cersei. The realm will have my brother. By law, by blood, by my word while I still draw breath. Cersei's eyes narrowed. For a heartbeat she looked almost amused, as if Robert had finally chosen the most interesting way to die. You think naming Stannis ends this? She asked softly. You think a decree stops lions? Robert's grin was all teeth. It starts the hunt. They brought him to the throne room as if they were parading a wounded bull before the crowd to prove it still had horns. Robert refused the litter. He refused the chair. He walked on his own feet, each step measured, each breath paid for in pain. Ned could feel the tremor in him through the king's arm where it leaned on his shoulder. Robert's weight was immense, but the will inside it was heavier still. The court gathered as word spread like wildfire. The king would sit the Iron Throne. Not tomorrow, not after he rested. Now, men and women filled the hall in cautious clusters, whispering behind sleeves, eyes darting from Robert to Cersei to Ned. The king's guard stood in white, their faces blank masks. Ser Barristan Selmy was at Robert's side, as steady as the marble columns. Ser Jaime Lannister was conspicuously absent. At the foot of the throne, the small council waited. Grand Maester Pycelle hovered close, face pinched with worry as if the king's death would stain his own hands. Peter Baelish looked almost delighted, as though he had been invited to watch a play that promised blood in the final act. Varys folded his soft hands and watched with eyes that missed nothing. Renly Baratheon leaned with easy posture, laughing quietly at some remark from Ser Loras Tyrell, but his gaze kept returning to Robert with the calculating curiosity of a man who knew the world was about to be rewritten. Cersei stood beside Joffrey, her back straight, her chin high. Joffrey wore crimson and gold, and he looked at the throne as if it already belonged to him. When Robert entered, the boy did not move fast enough. He hesitated, pride fighting instinct, until Cersei's hand touched his arm, a command without words. The hall knelt. Robert did not let them kneel long. Up, he rasped. Up, damn you. I didn't crawl out of my bed to watch your backsides press the floor. Laughter fluttered nervously. Robert's old charisma tried to spark, but pain smothered it. He took another step, and Ned saw his vision blur for a heartbeat. Robert gripped the arm of the throne, hauled himself higher. The Iron Throne's jagged metal seemed to drink the torchlight. For a moment the king sat, breathing hard. Then he pushed himself upright, standing before his own seat as if he would not have it think it owned him. "Bring the council forward," Robert said. They moved as commanded. Ned could feel every eye on him as he stepped to the king's side with parchment and ink. The decree was already written in Ned's hand, the words sharp and plain, sealed with Robert's signet ring pressed into hot wax. But Robert wanted it spoken. He wanted the realm to hear his voice, not merely read his seal. Robert looked out over the court. "I was gored on the hunt," he said, and his voice carried, rough as stone. "Some of you have already begun to count the days until I die. Some of you have begun to choose who you'll kneel to next. You think the gods are kind enough to take a king and leave you a clean path." His eyes flicked to Cersei, then to Joffrey, then away as if looking at them too long would bring bile. "The gods are not kind," Robert said. "They are just." Cersei's mouth tightened. Renly's eyebrows lifted with mild surprise. Varys's face was polite emptiness. Robert raised his hand. Ned held his breath. The hall seemed to do the same. "I name my heir," Robert said. "Not in whispers, not in a sealed chamber, but here, before the eyes of the realm. Stannis Baratheon is my lawful successor, my brother, Lord of Dragonstone. He will sit the Iron Throne after me, as law and blood demand." A ripple moved through the hall, like wind through wheat. Shock, confusion, sudden fear. Ned watched faces shift, some turning toward Renly, some toward Cersei, some toward the floor as if looking away could spare them being noticed. Joffrey's face went crimson. "Father," he began, and his voice cracked, a boy's voice struggling for authority. Robert's gaze snapped to him like a whip. "You will be silent," he said, each word weighted. "You will be silent or I will have your tongue nailed to the gates." Cersei stepped forward, her voice controlled. "This is madness. You are in pain. You are being manipulated by my hand." Robert's laugh was harsh. "Eddard Stark would sooner cut his own throat than lie to me." He turned his head slightly, eyes narrowing. "You, on the other hand, you have been lying to me for years." The hall went still again. Even Peter Baelish stopped smiling, sensing the edge of something that could cut him too. Robert did not say the rest. Not yet. The accusation hung between them like a blade suspended by a single thread. The realm did not need the details to understand the danger. "I will have order," Robert said. "I will have peace. Anyone who moves against my decree moves against the crown." He raised his hand again.
Ser Barristan.
Ser Barristan stepped forward. "Your Grace, you will see my decree carried to the sept and read before the High Septon. You will have copies sent to every Lord Paramount. You will have my seal upon them. If I die in my sleep tonight, the realm will not pretend it doesn't know my will."
Ser Barristan Baud.
"It will be done." Robert's gaze moved to the council. "Pycelle, Varys, Baelish, you will remain in the Red Keep. No riders without my leave. No ravens without my leave. Renly." Renly's smile had not left, but it had become thinner. "Brother, you will go nowhere," Robert said. "Not to the Reach, not to Storm's End. You will stay close, where I can see you." A flicker of irritation crossed Renly's face before charm returned. "As you command." Robert turned to Ned. "Hand." "Yes, Your Grace." Robert's voice lowered, but the hall still heard it. "If I die, you keep my city until Stannis arrives. If anyone tries to take my children from the Red Keep, if anyone tries to take the throne before my brother sits it." His eyes hardening, "You will stop them, whatever it costs."
Ned.
S. stomach nodded, but he bowed. "I will." Cersei stared at Robert as if she were carving his face into memory for later hatred. "You cannot do this," she said, and her voice was quieter now, which made it more dangerous. "Not without consequence." Robert leaned forward, his hands gripping the cold, cruel metal of the throne. "Then let the consequence come," he said. "Let the lions roar. I am still alive, and I have teeth." The Red Keep had always been built for secrets. Corridors that bent unexpectedly, stairs that led nowhere, chambers tucked behind tapestry and stone. Cersei moved through it like a queen through her own mind, knowing which doors were watched, which servants listened, which walls had ears. She did not go to Robert's chambers after the decree. She did not scream, did not weep, did not plead. She went to her brother. Jaime's solar was warm with candlelight and smelled faintly of leather and steel. He stood by the window when she entered, looking out over the city as if the world might offer him a simpler war than the one closing around them. His white cloak lay discarded over a chair, a rare sign of carelessness. When Cersei shut the door behind her, Jaime turned. His eyes searched her face at once, reading what the court could not. "He did it," she said. Jaime's jaw tightened. "He named Stannis." Yes, the word was venom. In the throne room, before the realm, before I could. She stopped because even she did not like to admit that she had misjudged Robert Baratheon. Joffrey was there, stalking the room, fists clenched. His cheeks were red with rage, his eyes bright and wet with humiliation. "He cannot," the boy hissed. "He cannot take my crown from me." "It is not your crown," Cersei said, and her voice snapped like a whip. Joffrey halted, shocked by the sharpness. "Not yet, and if you keep flailing like a child, you will lose more than a crown." Joffrey's lips curled. "I am not a child." Jaime's gaze flicked to his son in everything but name, and something like pain moved through him. It passed quickly, buried beneath the habitual armor of contempt and pride. "What does Tywin say?" Jaime asked. Cersei crossed to the table and snatched up the raven scroll. The wax seal had been broken, the message short and cold. Her father had not wasted ink on comfort. "He says we must bring the children west," Cersei said. "He says if Robert lives long enough to let Stannis arrive, the city will become a trap. He says Stannis will not be swayed by threats. He says Stannis will take hostages and call it law." Jaime's mouth tightened. "He's right." Cersei's hand clenched around the lion brooch at her breast until the metal dug into her skin. "Robert thinks he is hunting lions," she said softly. "He thinks he is still the man who smashed Rhaegar on the trident and laughed as the rubies spilled. He has forgotten what lions do when cornered." Joffrey grabbed a goblet and flung it against the wall. It shattered, wine splattering like blood. "I want Ned Stark dead," he spat. "He humiliated me. He dared look at me like I was nothing." Cersei's eyes narrowed. "You want many things," she said. "Wanting is not winning." Jaime moved closer to her. When they were alone, when no other eyes watched, they always fell back into the same gravity, the same secret orbit that had held them since they were children. His hand touched her arm lightly. "What do you mean to do?" he asked. Cersei's gaze held his. "We cannot wait," she said. "Not for ravens, not for armies, not for Robert to grow weaker. We cannot let Stannis set foot in this castle." Jaime's eyes flicked toward the door, toward the corridors beyond. "You want me to kill him?" Cersei did not answer immediately. She stepped close enough that her breath warmed his face. "If Robert dies," she said quietly, "the realm will look to Joffrey. It always has. They will pretend they did not hear his decree. They will claim it was made under pain, under manipulation. Varys will whisper doubt. Baelish will sell uncertainty to the highest bidder. The lords will hesitate, and hesitation is all we need." "And Stannis?" Jaime asked. Cersei smiled without warmth. "Stannis will come with his little fleet and his sour face and his laws, and we will greet him with closed gates and a city that already has a king." Joffrey's eyes gleamed. "Yes," he said. "Yes, I will have him executed." Cersei's gaze snapped to him. "You will do nothing without my command," she said. "Nothing. If you show your hand too soon, you will lose it." Jaime watched her, and though he did not like it, he understood. The realm had rules. The realm also had knives. "How?" he asked. Cersei's eyes drifted to the table, to the dagger, to the ink, to the scroll. First, she said, we get the children out of the Red Keep, tonight if we can, before Ned Stark realizes what Robert has truly ordered him to do, before Barristan Selmy decides honor matters more than peace, before Robert's brother arrives with his righteous fury. And if Ned blocks us? Jaime asked. Cersei's smile returned, thin and sharp. Then we find the man who controls the gates, she said. We find the men who wear gold cloaks and sell their loyalty for heavier purses. Her eyes glinted. We find Peter Baelish. Joffrey's breathing quickened, excitement building where fear had been. I will ride out with the hound, he said, and his hand flexed as if it already held a sword. I will. You will stay where I tell you, Cersei said, and her voice left no room for argument. You will do as you are commanded, or you will die with the rest of us. Jaime's gaze lingered on her face, on the controlled rage beneath it. And Robert? He asked again. Cersei's eyes turned toward the window, toward the distant tower where Robert lay. The city outside was a sea of roofs and smoke and noise, oblivious to the storm gathering above it. Robert is wounded, she said softly. Wounds can reopen. Sleep can become death. Milk of the poppy can become too much. Her voice was calm, almost gentle. Accidents happen. Jaime's hand tightened. He's my king. Cersei looked at him as if he were foolish. He was your king, she said. He is now the man who would hand you to Stannis' justice and call it lawful. The words hung between them. Jaime turned his face away, jaw clenched, and Cersei watched him, waiting for him to stop pretending he was anything but what he was. Outside, a bell rang faintly, marking the hour. Somewhere in the castle, a raven shrieked. Cersei's voice was a whisper. We move tonight. The wind tasted of salt and rain, a harsh tongue that never learned kindness. Davos Seaworth had sailed through worse storms, but he had never felt one like this gathering. Not in sky and sea, but in men. Stannis Baratheon stood at the prow as if the ship were a battlefield and the waves an enemy to be endured rather than feared. He did not sway with the deck. He did not flinch when spray lashed his face. His eyes were fixed on the horizon where King's Landing lay, a smear of smoke against the gray. He had received Robert's raven at dawn, sealed with the stag, the words brief and blunt. Come at once. I have named you heir.
No brotherly affection. No explanation.
Just command. Stannis had read it twice, then once more, as if searching for trickery in the ink. Then he had stood, jaw tight, and ordered his ship prepared. Now, as Dragonstone shrank behind them, Davos watched the set of his lord's shoulders. Stannis did not rejoice. A man like Renly might have laughed, might have toasted, might have basked in the thought of a crown. Stannis wore the news like a burden added to a load already too heavy. Melisandre stood near the mast, her red robes unmoving despite the wind, as if the storm respected her. Her dark hair framed a face too calm, too certain. When Davos looked at her, he felt as if she were looking through him, through the ship, through the world, toward something only she could see. He calls for you, Davos said quietly, stepping closer to Stannis. That is something, my lord. For all the years he left you on Dragonstone with duty and salt. Stannis's mouth tightened. He calls because he needs, he said. His voice was flat. Not because he remembers. Davos swallowed. Still, he said, to be named heir before the realm. Before the realm, Stannis echoed, and there was a sharpness in it. You think that makes it simple? You think the Lannisters will kneel because Robert spoke a name? Davos's fingers flexed. He remembered the sack of King's Landing, remembered lions in the streets and fire in the sky. No, he admitted. Stannis's gaze remained fixed ahead. Robert is wounded, he said. He will die. Perhaps not today, perhaps not tomorrow, but he will die. The words were not cruel, merely factual, like a man counting coins. And when he dies, the realm will pretend it did not hear him. They will say he spoke in pain, that he was confused, that his hand put words in his mouth. Davos hesitated. "And if the decree is sealed and read?" "Seals can be broken," Stannis said. "Ravens can be intercepted. Men can be bought. The truth does not win by existing." He turned his head slightly, and for a moment Davos saw the hard light in his eyes. "The truth wins when it is enforced." Melisandre's voice cut through the wind. "The truth is a flame," she said softly, and Davos hated the way she could speak without raising her voice and still be heard. "It burns away lies." Stannis did not look at her. "Lies burn too," he said. Melisandre smiled faintly. "A cleansing fire," she murmured. Davos felt a chill that had nothing to do with sea spray. "The seven protect us," he muttered under his breath, "an old habit." Melisandre's eyes slid to him. In their dark depths, torchlight seemed to flicker though there was no torch. "Your seven are silent," she said gently. "But the Lord of Light speaks." Davos's jaw clenched. He had followed Stannis because Stannis had fed him, because Stannis had punished him fairly, because Stannis was iron in a world of gilded rot. He did not know how to follow fire. Stannis finally turned from the horizon, looking back toward the black cliffs of Dragonstone. For a heartbeat his face softened with something like memory. Years of watching ships come and go, years of duty without reward, years of being the brother left behind while Robert drank and laughed and Renly smiled. Then the softness vanished. He faced forward again. "If Robert named me heir," he said, "then he has finally remembered the law. He has finally remembered what he owes the realm." His voice hardened. "I will not fail it." The ship cut through the water, relentless. Ahead lay King's Landing, a city of stone and secrets, of gold and knives. Ahead lay a brother wounded and raging. Ahead lay lions who would not be hunted quietly. And above, the sky darkened, as if the storm itself leaned in to listen. Stannis Baratheon entered the red keep the way winter entered a room. Quietly, inevitably, and with no regard for comfort. Rain slicked his cloak and darkened his hair, but his face remained unchanged, as if weather could not touch him. Davos followed half a step behind, eyes scanning the corridor with a sailor's caution. Melisandre drifted farther back, red against stone, a living ember. Eddard Stark met them before they reached the king's chambers. He stood with a pair of guards, Northmen in stark gray, and Ser Barristan Selmy at his side, silver-white hair shining under torchlight. Ned had not slept in 2 nights. The Red Keep had become a nest of coiled threats, and every hour that passed without Stannis inside its walls had been an hour in which lions sharpened their teeth. "Lord Stannis," Ned said and bowed. Stannis's gaze swept him once. "Lord Stark," he replied. "Hand of the king." He looked past Ned, as if expecting someone else. "Where is Robert?" "Alive," Ned said, and that word carried more weight than any title. "But weakened. He has demanded to see you at once." Stannis's mouth tightened. "Of course he has." Ned gestured for them to follow. As they walked, the corridor seemed narrower than usual, as if the castle itself pressed in. Servants scurried away, eyes downcast. Gold cloaks stood at corners, hands on spears, watching. Ned felt their gaze on Stannis like measuring sticks. Stannis did not acknowledge them. He moved as if he owned the stone beneath his feet. Perhaps by decree he did. They reached the king's chambers. The king's guard stood outside. Ser Barristan, Ser Boros Blunt, Ser Meryn Trant, white cloaks like fresh snow. Ser Jaime Lannister was still absent, and Ned felt that absence like an open door. Inside, the air was warmer, heavy with the scent of herbs and old blood. Robert lay propped up, his face pale but his eyes fierce. When he saw Stannis, something like grim satisfaction flickered over him. "Well," Robert rasped, "the righteous brother arrives." "7 hells, Stannis. You look like you swallowed a nail." Stannis stepped forward and bowed, the motion stiff. "Your Grace," he said. Robert's mouth twisted. "Don't call me that," he growled. "I'm still your brother, for however long the gods let me be." Stannis's face did not soften. You summoned me, he said. You named me heir. Robert barked a laugh that became a cough. He wiped blood from his lip. He said, and his eyes burned. I did. Stannis looked at him steadily. Why now? He asked. Not accusing, not pleading, simply demanding the answer as if it were owed. Robert stared at him. For a moment Ned thought the king might rage, might throw something, might scream about pride and neglect and all the years he had ignored Stannis. Instead, Robert's gaze flicked to Ned, then back to Stannis. His jaw clenched. You'll have your reasons, Stannis said, and there was something almost bitter in it. You always do. Robert swallowed, and the movement hurt him. He forced the words out anyway. Because I was a fool, he said. Because I let myself be blinded by... His eyes shifted toward the door, toward where Cersei's shadow always seemed to lurk. Because I trusted the wrong people. Stannis's eyes narrowed. What has happened? Ned stepped forward before Robert could speak again, before pain turned him into fury. Your brother has learned something, Ned said, about the children he believed were his. Stannis's face remained stone, but something in his eyes sharpened. Interest, grim confirmation. The sense of a man seeing his suspicions made real. I warned him, he said. Robert's voice snapped. You warned me, he rasped. You warned me, and I laughed and drank and called you dour. He stared at Stannis. You were right. The admission seemed to cost Robert more than the wound. Stannis did not gloat. He did not smile. He only nodded once, as if marking a point on a ledger. Then the children are not. No, Robert said, and the word was a hammer.
No.
Ned felt the room tighten, as if the air itself understood the danger of what was being spoken. Stannis's jaw clenched. Incest, he said quietly, the word sickening in its plainness. His gaze flicked to Ned. You have proof. Ned held up the book of lineages. Enough to see a pattern, he said. Enough to know Jon Arryn died for it. Stannis's eyes darkened. Then the realm has been... He stopped, because saying it out loud made it too large. The realm had been ruled by lies. The throne itself had been mocked. Robert's voice came low and vicious. I named you before the realm, he said. I had the decree sealed. Read, sent. If I die, you take the city. You take the throne. You take them all and you... His breath caught. Pain twisted his face. Stannis stepped closer. You should rest, he said, and his tone made it sound like an order. Robert's laugh was bitter. Listen to him, he rasped to Ned. Already a king. Stannis's eyes remained on Robert. If you die, he said, there will be war. War is coming regardless, Robert said. At least now it will be honest. Stannis's gaze flicked to Ned again. You kept the city? He asked. Ned's mouth tightened. For now, he said. But the gold cloaks are uncertain. The Lannisters have coin. Peter Baelish has influence. Ser Jaime is missing. Stannis's expression hardened further. Then we close the gates, he said. We control the ravens. We take the queen and the children into custody. Robert's eyes flashed. Not the children, he growled. Stannis turned his head slightly, and the movement was as sharp as steel. Your Grace, he said, and for the first time his voice carried something like heat. Those children are not yours. They are claimants forged from treason. If they are free, they will be used against you, against me, against the realm. Robert's face contorted, not with disagreement, but with the agony of a man hearing the truth and hating it. They're still, he began, and stopped. He could not say it. They were still children. They were still people. But they were also weapons. Ned watched the two brothers, so different and yet bound by the same blood, the same storm-tempered stubbornness. He could feel the future reshaping itself around them. Robert breathed hard, then spoke through clenched teeth. We take Cersei, he said. We take her first. We put her under guard. We keep the children close, watched, safe. No harm to them unless, he swallowed. Unless they force it. Stannis's gaze held him. They will force it, he said. Robert's eyes burned. Then we make them bleed for it, he rasped. He turned his head toward Ser Barristan. Barristan, double the guard. No one enters this room without your permission.
Ser Barristan Baud.
As you command. Robert's gaze returned to Stannis. You wanted the law, he said, voice ragged. Here it is. Take it. Hold it. Don't let it slip. Stannis stared at him a long moment. Then stiffly he knelt. The gesture was not submission. It was acceptance of burden. I will, Stannis said. Outside the door, the Red Keep listened. Somewhere beyond stone, lions moved. Coin had always spoken louder than law in King's Landing, and Peter Baelish spoke it fluently. He found Janos Slynt where men like Janos liked to linger, near the edge of power, where orders could be interpreted and doors could be opened or closed for the right price. The commander of the City Watch wore his gold cloak like a crown he had stolen, his face ruddy, his mouth set in a practiced sneer of importance. My lord, Janos said when he saw Peter, voice oily with false respect. Busy days, eh? The king up on his throne and naming heirs like he's picking horses. Peter smiled, a gentle curve that never reached his eyes. Busy days, he agreed, and dangerous ones, the kind where a man might wake to find he has chosen the wrong side. Janos snorted. Sides, he said. I serve the city. Peter's smile widened slightly. Of course you do, he said. And the city serves coin. Janos's eyes flicked to the pouch in Peter's hand without meaning to. He caught himself, tried to look indifferent. What do you want? He asked. Peter leaned closer, voice lowering. I want stability, he said. And I want you to have it too. Janos's mouth twisted. Stability? With Stannis Baratheon in the castle. His laugh was unpleasant. That one's a stick up the arse. He'll hang half the city just to prove his laws exist. Peter shrugged lightly. Perhaps, he said. Or perhaps he'll hang only the men who deserve it. Janos's eyes hardened. I don't like the sound of that. Peter's gaze was soft. No, he agreed. Men rarely do. Footsteps echoed nearby. A pair of gold cloaks passed, eyes forward, pretending not to notice the conversation. Janos watched them go, then looked back at Peter. I hear the queen's displeased, Janos said quietly. I hear the king's dying anyway. I hear there'll be fighting before the week is out. Peter's smile did not change. You hear many things, he said, and so does Varys. As if summoned by the mention, Varys appeared from the shadows like a thought made flesh, hands folded, silk whispering. My lords, he said warmly. I do so hate when people speak of me as if I were not present. It makes me feel positively invisible. Janos stiffened. Spider, he muttered, and his hand twitched toward his belt. Varys smiled, unoffended. Commander, he said, you look concerned. Janos glared. The city's changing, he said. Hard to know who'll be paying my men next. Varys's eyes glinted. Oh, but that is always the question, isn't it? He said softly. Who pays? Who commands? Who survives? Peter lifted the pouch slightly, letting it catch the torchlight. It was not large, but it was heavy, and Janos's eyes followed it as if pulled. What does Lord Baelish offer? Varys asked, voice mild. Peter's gaze remained on Janos. A reminder, he said, that men who keep order are rewarded, and men who choose poorly are corrected. Janos's eyes narrowed. I hear the queen's displeased, he muttered again, as if testing the words. Varys's smile remained. The queen is a mother, he said gently. Mothers do desperate things. Peter's eyes glittered. And commanders who help desperate mothers are remembered, he said, by those who hold power after the dust settles. Janos's throat bobbed. And if Stannis wins? He asked, voice rough. Peter's smile did not waver. Then you will tell him you served the city, he said. You will say you opened gates to prevent bloodshed. You will say you did what you must. Stannis loves law. Law can be interpreted. Janos stared at the pouch. His pride fought his greed, but greed was older and stronger. Finally his hand reached out. Peter let him take it. Janos's fingers closed around the coin like a drowning man grasping rope. "What do you want done?" he asked. Peter's voice was a whisper now, intimate as confession. "Tonight," he said, "when the castle sleeps, there will be a carriage leaving through the postern gate. You will ensure the guard looks the other way." Janos's eyes widened. "And if the hand?" Peter's smile sharpened. "If the hand stops it," he said, "then the hand will have proven himself an obstacle to peace. Obstacles have a habit of being removed." Varys's eyes were bright. "Oh my," he murmured. "Such dangerous talk." Peter's gaze slid to him, pleasant. "Only talk," he said. "We are all loyal servants of the crown." Varys smiled, his expression unreadable. "Of course," he said softly. "Which crown, I wonder?" Janos swallowed hard, gripping the pouch as if it might save him. "I'll do it," he said. Peter's smile softened again. "Good," he said. "The city will thank you." As they parted, Varys remained in the corridor, watching the torchlight flicker on stone. His smile faded. For a moment his face looked almost sad. Then footsteps echoed again, and the spider moved on. That night the Red Keep did not sleep. It only pretended. Ned sat in the Tower of the Hand with a map of the city spread before him and the taste of dread at the back of his throat. Stannis had taken control of the Ravens. Barristan had doubled the guard. Robert had drifted into uneasy rest, slipping in and out of fever. Yet Ned could not shake the sense that the castle itself was holding its breath. A knock came at his door. Before he could answer, the door opened. Arya slipped inside like a shadow. Her hair was a tangled mess, her cheeks smudged with dirt, her eyes bright with excitement and fear. Needle was hidden under her tunic, but Ned saw the way her hand hovered near it. Instinctive. "Father," she whispered urgently. "Something's happening." Ned rose at once. "Arya," he said sharply, "you should be in bed." "I was," Arya said, and the indignation in her voice almost made him smile if he had not been cold with worry. "But I heard men in the corridor. Gold cloaks. They were whispering about a carriage. They said the Queen's going to—" She stumbled over the word, scowling. "To sneak out." Ned's stomach tightened. He moved to the door, grabbing his sword belt. "Where?" he asked. Arya pointed. "Down the servants' stair," she said, "toward the kitchens and the small gate by the stables." Ned did not hesitate. "Stay here," he ordered. Arya's eyes narrowed. "No," she said instantly. Ned turned, anger flaring. "Arya, I'm not stupid," she said. "If the Queen's running, she'll have guards. If there's guards, there's fighting. And if there's fighting, I'm not staying alone in a tower like a lady." Her mouth twisted around the word like it tasted bad. For a heartbeat Ned saw Lyanna in her. Lyanna's stubbornness. Lyanna's refusal to be caged. He felt a surge of fear so sharp it almost robbed him of breath. He could not lose another child to war. He forced his voice steady. "You will do as I say," he whispered. Arya stared at him, then swallowed. "Fine," she muttered, and though she sounded sullen, her eyes were still bright and watchful. "But I'll be listening." Ned left the tower with his men, the stone corridors cold beneath torchlight. His boots echoed, and every echo sounded like a warning. They reached the servants' stair. The air smelled of bread and grease from the kitchens below. Ned held up a hand, signaling silence. They moved down. Voices murmured ahead, a soft clink of metal, the scrape of wheels. Ned rounded the corner and saw the carriage. It was plain, unmarked, the kind used for servants or supplies. But the guards around it were not servants. They were gold cloaks with spears, and beside them stood Sandor Clegane, black armor swallowing torchlight, his helm under one arm, his burned face half in shadow. Cersei Lannister stood near the carriage door, cloaked, her hair hidden beneath a hood. Behind her, Septa Mordane gripped Sansa Stark's arm tightly. Sansa's face was pale, eyes wide with confusion and fear. Ned's blood went ice cold. Cersei turned as Ned approached, her face calm, as if she had been waiting for him. "Lord Stark," she said softly, "how vigilant you are." Ned's hand went to his sword. "Release my daughter," he said. Septa Mordane's grip tightened. "Lord Eddard," she whispered, voice trembling. They said what they wished," Ned snapped, eyes never leaving Cersei. Cersei's smile was faint. "Your daughter is safe," she said. "Safer than you, perhaps." Ned's gaze flicked to Sandor Clegane. The hound's expression was unreadable. He did not look at Ned, did not look at Sansa. He looked at the ground as if bored, but Ned knew boredom could hide brutality. "Where are you going?"
Ned demanded.
Cersei's eyes glittered. "Away from men who would cage a mother," she said. "Away from your brother-in-law's justice." Her gaze sharpened. "You think Stannis Baratheon will treat my children gently? You think he will not drag them to the sept and strip them of name and claim? You think he will not cut them to pieces to prove his law?" Ned's jaw tightened. "Stannis will not harm children," he said, though he was not entirely sure. Cersei's laugh was soft. "You're a better liar than I thought," she murmured. "Or perhaps you truly believe men can be good when power is offered." She took a step closer. "Let me pass, Lord Stark. Let me take my children. Let the realm decide later what it thinks of Robert's decree." Ned stepped between her and the gate. "No," he said. The gold cloaks shifted, spears angling. Sandor Clegane's mouth twitched, almost amused. Cersei's gaze slid to the guards. "Janos," she called softly. From the shadows behind the carriage, Janos Slynt emerged, his gold cloak catching torchlight. His face was tense, sweat shining on his brow. "My lady," he said, voice rough. Cersei's eyes remained on Ned. "Remove the hand," she said gently, as if ordering a servant to fetch wine. Janos hesitated. The moment stretched, thin and fragile. Ned could see the conflict on the man's face. Fear of Stark steel, fear of Baratheon law, fear of Lannister gold. Then Janos's jaw set. "Take him," he barked. Gold cloaks surged forward. Ned's men moved at once, swords flashing. Steel rang in the narrow corridor, sparks flying. Ned drew his blade and stepped into the crush, the world narrowing to the sound of breath and metal and the sharp, hot smell of fear. Sansa screamed. Septa Mordane clung to her, dragging her back. Cersei stepped away, eyes cold, as if watching a game. Sandor Clegane did not move. He stood like a black wall, letting gold cloaks fight around him. Ned struck down the first man who came at him, then another. His shoulder burned where the old wound from the trident still ached in cold air. He heard someone cry out behind him, a Northman falling. "Father!" A voice shrieked, and Ned's heart lurched. "Arya!" She burst into the corridor like a wild thing, small and fast, needle in her hand. "Sansa!" she shouted, seeing he. "Our sister," and for a heartbeat her face broke. Fear, fury, love, all at once. "Ned!" he roared, too late. Sandor Clegane moved then, quick as a striking dog. He grabbed Arya by the collar and yanked her off her feet, lifting her as easily as a sack of grain. Arya kicked, screamed, tried to stab. Needles scratched black armor, useless. "Little wolf," Sandor growled, his breath hot. "You'll get yourself killed." Ned's vision went red. He fought through the press, shoving aside a gold cloak, but a spear slammed into his side, glancing off mail, jolting him back. Cersei's voice cut through the chaos, calm as snow. "Stand down," she called. The gold cloaks hesitated, not out of mercy, but out of obedience. Their loyalty was to whoever paid and commanded. Tonight it was her. Ned's men were bleeding. The corridor was clogged with bodies and fear. Sansa sobbed, Septa Mordane praying. Cersei stepped forward again, her eyes fixed on Ned. "Your children are mine now," she said softly. "If you want them alive, you will step aside." Ned's breath came harsh. He looked at Sansa, pale and shaking. He looked at Arya, struggling in Sandor's grip like a trapped animal. He wanted to kill them all. He wanted to drag Cersei by the hair and throw her to Stannis' law. But he was not alone. His daughters were here. His duty was here. Slowly, with every part of him screaming, Ned lowered his sword. "Let Arya go," he said, voice raw. Sandor Clegane snorted. "Not my call," he muttered. Cersei smiled. "No," she said. "The little one stays. Insurance." Her gaze glittered. "Move, Lord Stark."
Ned stepped aside.
The carriage door opened. Cersei ushered Sansa in first, then turned to look at Ned one last time. "You should have taken my offer when you had the chance," she said softly. Then she climbed into the carriage. The door shut. Wheels creaked. Gold cloaks moved to clear the way. Ned stood frozen as the carriage rolled toward the gate. His daughters taken, blood on the stone, and the taste of failure on his tongue. Above them, somewhere in the castle, the king slept fitfully, unaware that lions had already begun to run. Morning came like a bruise. King's Landing woke to whispers before it woke to light. There had been fighting in the Red Keep. There had been blood in a corridor. There had been a carriage rolling through a postern gate before dawn, guarded by gold cloaks who pretended they were not guarding anything at all. Rumor did what ravens could not. It flew faster. Renly Baratheon stood in the yard, sword in hand, laughter on his lips, and listened to courtiers murmur as if they were birds. He let the sound wash over him like a warm bath. War made men afraid. Fear made men talk. Talk made opportunities. Loras Tyrell circled him with a blunted blade, feet light, expression focused. He was beautiful in motion, all precision and grace. Renly loved him for it, the way he made violence look like dance. "You're distracted," Loras said, flicking his sword toward Renly's shoulder. Renly barely parried. Renly smiled, breath misting. "Am I?" he said. "Or are you simply too eager to win?" Loras's mouth tightened. "This is not a game," he murmured. Renly's smile widened. "Everything is a game," he said softly, and then he lunged, surprising Loras with speed. Steel met steel with a dull ring. They broke apart again, laughing. Above them, on a balcony, Margaery Tyrell watched. Her green gown was modest, her posture perfect, but her eyes were sharp, missing nothing. When she smiled, it was gentle enough to be harmless and clever enough to be dangerous. Renly glanced up and met her gaze. He raised his sword slightly in greeting, as if saluting a queen. Margaery's smile deepened by a fraction. Beside her, an older Tyrell cousin leaned in and whispered, and Margaery's eyes flicked briefly to the courtiers gathered below, to the way their heads bent together like conspirators. Renly understood. The realm was already choosing. Stannis had law. Robert had decree. But law and decree did not fill bellies. They did not inspire songs. They did not seduce. Renly lowered his sword and let Loras press him back, as if he were losing on purpose. Loras's brow furrowed, but he did not call it out. He knew when Renly's mind moved elsewhere. "Cersei moved," Loras said quietly as their blades locked. Renly's smile did not falter. "Bold of her," he murmured. "Bold." "Stannis will be furious," Loras said. "Stannis is always furious," Renly replied, and his tone was light, but his eyes were thoughtful. "The question is what Robert will do when he wakes and finds his precious honor has been outplayed." Loras's eyes darkened. "If the Queen has the Stark girls," Renly's smile sharpened. "Then Lord Eddard has chains around his wrists made of his own virtue," he said softly. "He will not move without fearing he tightens them." Loras hesitated. "And you?" he asked. Renly broke their lock and stepped back, lowering his sword. "Me?" he echoed, and his smile returned, bright as summer. "I will do what I always do, my love. I will be useful." Loras's gaze searched him. "To whom?" he asked. Renly's eyes flicked to the balcony again, to Margaery's calm watchfulness. "To the realm," he said smoothly. "Someone must save it from Stannis' sourness and Cersei's cruelty." Loras snorted softly. "You want a crown," he said bluntly. Renly's smile softened, genuine for an instant. "I want peace," he said, "and I want a realm that can laugh again." His eyes glinted. "And if that requires a crown to make men listen, then yes, I want one." Above, Marjorie Tyrell turned away from the balcony, her gown rustling like leaves. She moved with the calm of a woman who knew where her path led. The Tyrells did not gamble. They invested. Renly watched her go and felt the pieces shifting. Stannis had arrived. Robert still lived. Cersei had stolen hostages in the night. Ned Stark was trapped. The city trembled. And somewhere beneath all of it, the Iron Throne waited, hungry. Far from King's Landing, where stone walls hid knives, Tywin Lannister made war in the open. He sat in a tent that smelled of leather and oiled steel, lantern light casting hard shadows across his face. He did not look old. He looked carved, unyielding, inevitable. The map before him was spread flat, the riverlands marked in ink as if ink could capture the chaos about to spill across those fields. Ser Kevan Lannister stood close, reading the latest Raven scroll with a frown. "The king named Stannis," Kevan said, voice low. Publicly, Tywin's fingers rested on the edge of the table, unmoving. "So I am told," he said. "And the queen has taken the Stark girls," Kevan continued. "She has left the Red Keep with them under guard." There was blood. Tywin's gaze did not change. "Good," he said simply. Kevan blinked. "Good?" he repeated, unsettled. Tywin looked up. His green eyes were cold. "Hostages are leverage," he said. "Leverage is power. Power is what keeps a realm from tearing itself apart." His fingers tapped once on the map. Robert Baratheon believed he could name law into existence. He believes the realm will obey because he shouts. He forgets what the realm truly obeys. "Fear," Kevan said. "Reward," Tywin corrected. "And fear, when reward is not enough." Kevan hesitated. "If Robert dies," he said carefully, "Stannis will press his claim. Renly will not accept it. The Reach will not accept it. The Storm Lords may." Tywin raised a hand slightly, silencing him. "They will accept what they must," he said. "If they cannot be made to accept, they will be made to bleed until they have no choice." Kevan's mouth tightened. "And if Stannis proves stubborn?" he asked. Tywin's gaze turned back to the map. "Then we break him," he said, as if discussing splitting wood. Outside the tent, soldiers marched, red cloaks moving like a river of blood. The lion banners snapped in the wind. The sound was steady, disciplined. Tywin liked discipline. Discipline won wars. A young officer entered, bowed. "My lord," he said. "The men are ready. The mountain rides ahead." Tywin nodded once. "Let him ride," he said. "Let the river lords remember what it means to defy a lion." Kevan looked uneasy. "If we strike the riverlands," he said, "we risk drawing the north. Lord Eddard's son is a boy," Tywin said. "Boys rush to war with honor in their mouths and death on their heels." Kevan swallowed. "And what of Jaime?" he asked quietly. "If Stannis takes the city and holds him?" Tywin's eyes lifted again, and for a moment something like anger flickered there, quick and controlled. "Jaime will do what he must to survive," Tywin said. "And Cersei will do what she must to win." His voice hardened. "We will do what we must to rule." Kevan nodded, though worry lingered in his eyes. He had fought beside Tywin for decades, but even he could feel the scale of what was coming. This was not a border skirmish. This was not a rebellion with one usurper to crush. This was the realm itself splitting along fault lines that had been hidden beneath Robert's laughter. Tywin folded the Raven scroll carefully and set it down. He smoothed the map with one palm, as if smoothing the realm into obedience. "Send word to Casterly Rock," he said. "Send word to the bannermen. Tell them the crown has been seized by traitors. Tell them the king is being controlled by Stark and by Stannis. Tell them House Lannister will defend the rightful succession." Kevan's mouth tightened. "The rightful succession," he echoed as if tasting the lie. Tywin's gaze was ice. Truth is what men believe, he said. And men believe what is enforced. He looked toward the tent flap, toward the marching lines. We will enforce it. Outside, the cold wind carried the sound of steel and boots and distant thunder. War was not yet declared, but Tywin Lannister had already begun it. Robert woke to pain and betrayal in equal measure. The pain he could endure. He had endured worse on the battlefield, laughing through broken ribs, roaring through wounds that would have killed softer men. Betrayal was different. Betrayal gnawed. He demanded the throne room again, and this time no one argued. Not Pycelle, not Cersei, not even Ned. Stannis had arrived, and with Stannis came a different kind of force, cold, lawful, relentless. The Red Keep's corridors seemed to stiffen under it. Robert sat the Iron Throne like a man daring the world to challenge him. His face was paler than before, his beard untrimmed, sweat shining on his brow. But his eyes were bright, furious. Stannis stood beside him, unmoving, as if carved from the same iron as the throne. Ned stood below, the hands pinned heavy on his chest, his mind still ringing with the memory of Sansa's scream and Arya's small body in the Hound's grip. Cersei was there too, brought under guard, not bound, because Robert refused to give her the satisfaction of looking like a victim. She stood with her chin high, green eyes hard, as if the hall belonged to her despite the swords around her. Robert looked down at her and felt something in him twist. Once he had wanted her. Once he had mistaken her beauty for promise. Now he saw only a lioness with blood on her teeth. "You took the Stark girls," Robert said, voice rough. "In my castle." Cersei's gaze did not waver. "I saved them," she said, "from Stannis Baratheon's justice." Stannis's jaw tightened. "Justice is not yours to decide," he said coldly. Cersei's smile was faint. "Neither is it yours," she murmured. Robert's hand clenched on the arm of the throne. The iron dug into his palm, sharp enough to draw blood. He welcomed it. Pain anchored him. "Where are they?" Robert demanded. Cersei's eyes glittered. "Safe," she said, "and they will remain safe, so long as your hand remembers his place." Ned felt the hall tilt. He could hear his own heartbeat. He imagined Arya's fierce eyes, Sansa's frightened face. He imagined being forced to kneel to save them. Robert's gaze snapped to Ned, and for a moment Ned saw something like apology there. Quick, raw, unexpected. Robert had dragged him into this. Robert had given him honor and then demanded he use it as a shield. Robert turned back to Cersei. "You are bold," he said. "Bold enough to steal hostages and call it protection. Bold enough to think you can threaten me in my own hall." His voice grew harsher. "Bold enough to think you can outlive my anger." Cersei lifted her chin higher. "Your anger built nothing," she said. "It drank and whored and laughed while the realm rotted. You think naming Stannis Heir makes you strong? It makes you weak. It admits you have failed." A murmur ran through the court. Peter Baelish watched with bright interest. Varys's expression was sympathetic emptiness. Robert's lips curled, and for a heartbeat Ned feared he would leap from the throne and tear her apart with his hands. Instead, Robert's rage settled into something colder. "You're right," Robert said, and the hall went still at the unexpected agreement. I failed. I failed the realm. I failed myself." His eyes burned. "But I will not fail this." He lifted a hand. Ser Barristan stepped forward, posture straight. "Bring my decree," Robert said. Ned's stomach tightened. The decree had been sealed and sent already, but Robert wanted more. He wanted the realm to feel the change like a blow. Ser Barristan held out the parchment. Robert took it with shaking fingers and raised it, letting torchlight catch the wax seal, letting every eye see the stag pressed into red. "This is my will," Robert said. "This is my law. Stannis Baratheon is my heir. Any who deny it deny me." Cersei's smile did not falter. "And when you die?" she asked softly. "When your breath finally stops and your decree becomes a scrap of parchment?" Her eyes glittered. "Who will enforce it then?" Stannis's voice was iron. "I will," he said. Cersei looked at him, and her smile sharpened. "With what?" she asked. "With your little fleet? With your cold laws?" She tilted her head slightly. "The city loves my son. The lords have sworn to him. The gold flows from Casterly Rock, not Dragonstone." Stannis's expression did not change. "The city loves bread," he said coldly. "It loves peace. It will love whatever keeps it alive." Robert stared at Cersei a long moment. Then he looked out over the hall, over the lords and knights and courtiers, over the faces that would soon choose sides. "I am not dead," Robert said, and his voice rose raw and powerful. "And while I live, I will have obedience." He leaned forward, and the movement made him pale, but he did it anyway. "Cersei Lannister," he said, each word deliberate, "you will return the Stark girls. You will return them today. If they are harmed, if they are hidden, if they are moved beyond my reach, I swear by the gods I will pull this city down stone by stone and build a pyre from its rubble." A hush fell. Even Cersei's smile faltered for the first time, just slightly, as if she heard in his voice the old Robert, the man who smashed enemies without thinking of tomorrow. Robert's eyes narrowed. "Do you think I cannot?" he whispered, and somehow the whisper carried. "Do you think pain has made me gentle?" Cersei's gaze held his, and for a moment Ned saw calculation there, swift as a knife. Robert's threat was not empty, but neither was hers. Cersei's lips parted, and when she spoke her voice was smooth. "I will send word," she said. "If they are within reach, they will be returned." "If," Stannis repeated coldly. Cersei ignored him. Her eyes slid to Ned. "Your daughter cried in the corridor," she said softly, cruelly. "She called for you. It was touching." Ned's hand tightened on his sword hilt. He felt Stannis's gaze on him, assessing. He felt Robert's gaze too, fierce and protective in its rough way. Robert's voice came, like a growl. "You will not speak to my hand," he said. "You will speak to me." Cersei's eyes returned to him. "Very well," she said. "To you." Her smile returned, thin as a blade. "You have chosen war." Robert leaned back against the throne, breathing hard. "No," he said. "I have chosen truth." He looked to Stannis then, and for an instant the hall fell away, leaving only brothers. Robert's eyes were bloodshot, furious, and beneath it there was a grim plea. "Hold it," Robert rasped. "Hold the realm together while I bleed." Stannis's jaw clenched. "I will," he said, and there was no warmth in it, but there was certainty. Robert's gaze swept the hall again. "Hear me," he said. "If you would call yourselves loyal, you will obey. If you would call yourselves brave, you will stand where you stand when the lions roar." Somewhere beyond the Red Keep, the city murmured, unaware of how close it was to burning. And in the throne room, with iron beneath him and death circling, Robert Baratheon bared his teeth at fate and dared it to come closer. Dawn came thin and gray, as if the sun itself had been warned not to shine too brightly over King's Landing. The city breathed smoke and damp, and the Red Keep held that breath in its stone lungs, waiting for the next knife to fall. Ned had not left the Tower of the Hand. He had changed his shirt once only because the old one had dried stiff with another man's blood. His hands smelled of iron no matter how hard he scrubbed them. He could still hear Sansa's scream, still feel the helpless moment where his honor became a noose around his daughter's throats. The map on the table showed the city as if it were something that could be understood. Walls and gates, streets curling like veins, the Blackwater's dark bend. In truth, it was a living thing, shifting, swallowing, birthing secrets faster than ravens could carry them. Stannis Baratheon stared down at the map with the expression of a man judging rot in a barrel. He had slept even less than Ned, though he would never admit it. His eyes were dry, his jaw clenched so tight Ned wondered if his teeth might crack. "They did not take them beyond the walls," Stannis said. His voice held no comfort, only cold certainty. "Not yet." Ned's throat tightened. "How can you know?" "Because they would have needed the gates," Stannis replied, as if explaining to a child. And the gates were watched. Your men, Selmy's men. If the girls left the city, someone would have seen. Someone would have spoken. No one speaks because no one wants to die. Ser Barristan Selmy stood by the door, white cloak hanging straight, his hands folded on the pommel of his sword. There was a faint shadow beneath his eyes that had not been there before. There were watchers at every gate, he said, voice grave. But the city has more doors than gates, Lord Stark. Posterns, water doors, cellars that open to the river, sewers, smugglers' ways. Davos Seaworth held a lantern close, its light trembling on his weathered fingers. He looked out of place among the stone and silk, a man of salt water dragged onto dry land. But he watched and listened with the steady attention of someone who had learned survival the hard way. Who commanded the gold cloaks? Stannis asked. Ned's jaw clenched. Janos Slynt, he said. Stannis's gaze lifted. And who commands Janos Slynt? He demanded. No one answered at first. The truth hovered, sour as stale wine. Ned's eyes slid toward the stack of raven scrolls. Some were sealed with wax that bore no sigil at all, only a plain stamp, meant to look innocuous. Messages that traveled without official weight, carried by boys who could disappear into alleys and be forgotten. Peter Baelish, Ned said finally. Stannis's mouth tightened, as if the name itself offended him. Then we take him, he said. Now.
Ser bare Stannis gaze flikt to nederst.
We must be careful, he warned quietly. Lord Baelish has friends in the Watch, friends in the counting houses, friends who will claim outrage if he is seized without cause. Stannis's eyes hardened. Cause? He said. A queen stole hostages inside the king's own castle. Men died. Commander betrayed the hand. A lord's daughters have been taken. He leaned forward over the map, voice lowering into something dangerous. If that is not cause, then words have no meaning. From the shadowed corner, Melisandre spoke, her tone soft as falling ash. The city is a nest of vipers, she murmured. A nest must be burned, or the vipers will bite again. Davos's shoulders tightened. He did not look at her, but Ned saw the small movement, the way a man braced himself against heat. Ned swallowed hard. If we seize Baelish, he said, forcing his mind to function despite fear. And we are wrong. Stannis's gaze cut to him like a blade. If we are wrong, then he will live to laugh at us, he said. If we are right, then every hour we delay is another hour your daughters are moved farther from your reach. Ned's fingers curled into a fist. He hated how right it sounded. He hated how quickly the world pushed him toward choices that tasted like poison. A soft shuffle at the door. Ser Barristan turned, and a guard stepped in, face pale. Lord Stark, the guard said, voice tight. The king is awake. Ned felt his heart jump. Is he alive? The guard answered. Angry. Stannis straightened. Good, he said coldly. Anger keeps men from dying. They moved through the corridors with purpose, the castle's torchlight flickering over stone that had seen too many kings bleed. When they reached the king's chambers, Ned heard Robert's voice before he saw him. Ragged, furious, refusing weakness. Where are they? Robert rasped the moment Ned entered. Where are the girls? Ned stopped, pain in his chest like a fist. Not found yet, he admitted. Robert's hand clenched the sheets. Not found, he repeated, as if the words were an insult. In my city, in my castle, in my God's-forsaken realm. Stannis stepped forward. We will find them, he said, but we must act. Now, Janos Slynt must be seized. Peter Baelish must be seized. Robert's gaze snapped to him. Baelish, he growled. The smiling little cunt. Ned braced, expecting Robert to refuse, to cling to old loyalties out of habit. Instead, Robert's mouth curled into something vicious. Take them, Robert said. Take them all. Anyone who helped her. Anyone who took coin to betray my hand. His eyes blazed. And when you find my hands, girls, bring them back to him. No bargains. No softness. Stannis's jaw tightened with approval. "As you command," he said. Robert's gaze shifted to Ned, and for a heartbeat something softened there. Regret, perhaps, or a rough kind of care.
Hold fast. Ned. Robert raspede.
"Don't you break. Not for her. Not for any of them." Ned bowed his head, because if he spoke he feared he would beg, and he could not afford to beg. Stannis turned and strode out like a verdict. The castle seemed to stiffen around him. The hunt had begun, and this time, the stag hunted in its own den. The city watch barracks smelled of sweat, wet wool, and stale ale. It was the smell of men who lived too close together and too close to the city's filth. Men who comforted themselves with drink and coin because coin was the only thing that had ever been faithful to them. Stannis Baratheon walked into that stink as if it were incense meant to honor him. Gold cloaks lined the hall, spears upright, faces wary. Some looked frightened, some looked angry. Most looked calculating, as if measuring which way the wind blew and how much it might pay. Janos Slynt stood at the front, his cloak bright, his cheeks flushed, his eyes too quick. He tried to smile when Stannis approached, and the attempt made him look like a man baring teeth. "My lord," Janos said, bowing shallowly. "Didn't expect to see you here. If there's trouble in the streets, my men—" "Your men betrayed the crown," Stannis said, and his voice cut through the hall like ice through water. He held up a parchment sealed with the stag. "By order of King Robert Baratheon, you are stripped of command." A murmur rippled through the ranks. Janos's smile faltered. "My lord, this is—" Janos began. "This is law," Stannis snapped. He stepped closer, eyes hard. "You opened a gate for the queen to flee. You sent men to seize the hand of the king. You spilled blood in the Red Keep." Janos's mouth opened, closed. He licked his lips. "I serve the city," he said, voice strained. Stannis's gaze did not waver. "You serve coin," he said, "and now you will serve justice." Janos's bravado cracked. "I had orders," he blurted. "From—" Stannis's hand shot out and seized Janos by the front of his cloak, jerking him close. The room went dead silent, even the spears seeming to hold their breath. "From whom?" Stannis demanded. Janos's eyes flicked wildly. He looked at the gold cloaks behind Stannis, as if hoping to find support. He found only fear. Stannis shook him once, hard enough to rattle his teeth. "From whom?" he repeated. Janos's voice came out thin. "The queen," he whispered. Stannis released him with a shove that sent Janos stumbling. "Ser Barristan," Stannis said. Ser Barristan stepped forward, white cloak stark against gold. "My lord, arrest him," Stannis ordered. Janos's head jerked up. "You can't," he cried. "You can't arrest me without what?" Stannis demanded. "Without your purse to buy freedom?" Two of Stannis's men, hard-faced Stormlanders, moved in and seized Janos by the arms. Janos struggled, face reddening, voice rising to a near shriek. "This is madness," he spat. "The Watch won't stand for this. They won't." Stannis turned to the line of gold cloaks. "You will stand," he said, voice cold enough to freeze marrow. "You will stand because the king commands it. You will stand because if you do not, you will hang beside your commander." Some shifted. A few tightened their grips on spears. A handful looked ready to run. None moved. Davos watched their faces and felt something sour in his gut. He had seen men on ships choose mutiny when a captain grew weak. This was the same, only on stone instead of waves. Stannis's gaze swept them. "Your duty is to the city," he said. "Not to bribes, not to whispers, not to whores in silk. If you cannot remember that, then you will learn it the hard way." A man near the front swallowed hard. "Who commands us now?" he asked, voice rough. Stannis's eyes narrowed. He looked to Ser Barristan, and for a heartbeat there was a silent exchange, honor weighing necessity. "Jacelyn Bywater," Stannis said at last. A stir ran through the watch. The name was known. Bywater was a hard man, a man who had dragged thieves to the gallows without blinking and beaten bribes out of men's hands with his baton. He was not loved, but he was feared, and fear could be a kind of order. Bywater stepped forward from the side, thin and sharp-faced, one hand missing fingers from an old punishment. His eyes were cold as river stones. "My lord," he said. "You command the watch," Stannis told him. "You answer to me. You answer to the king. You will find the Stark girls." Bywater's gaze flicked to Davos, then to Barristan, then back to Stannis. "Yes," he said simply. Stannis turned back to Janos, who was still struggling in the grip of the Stormlanders. "If you speak the names of those who paid you," Stannis said, voice low, "you may yet keep your head." Janos's eyes bulged. He stammered, and his gaze flicked toward the door, toward the city beyond, toward the unseen web of coin and threat. "I don't know." Stannis's expression did not change. "Then you will learn," he said, and there was something in his tone that promised pain without passion, pain as procedure. Janos was dragged away, screaming curses that echoed off stone. Stannis watched him go without blinking. Then he looked back to the gold cloaks. "Move," he said. "Sweep the streets. Close the water doors. Search the brothels. Search the counting houses. Any man found guarding Stark girls will die." Davos's stomach tightened. He heard the hiss of Melisandre's earlier words in his mind, vipers, fire, and for the first time he wondered if the city would survive the cleansing Stannis meant to impose. But the men moved, spears lifted, orders snapped. The watch, bought and broken for years, began to remember what it meant to be commanded by fear instead of gold. Peter Baelish had always preferred rooms that smelled of sweetness. Rose oil, warmed skin, spiced wine. Because sweetness made men forget they were being poisoned. He sat in Chataya's establishment like a lord at leisure, though the city outside was shifting under Stannis Baratheon's boot. Candlelight gilded the edges of his smile. Ledgers lay open on the table, numbers neat as prayers. In another life Peter might have been a septon of coin. Varys sat opposite him, hands folded, face mild. The spider's silk smile never changed, even as distant shouts drifted in from the street. Commands barked, boots pounding, the watch moving in unusual discipline. Chataya lingered near the curtain, arms folded, eyes sharp. She did not trust Peter. She did not trust anyone. It was why she survived. "They are sweeping Flea Bottom," Varys said softly, as if commenting on weather. Peter's eyes glittered. "How industrious of them," he murmured. "Stannis must be thrilled. All those rules he's been hoarding finally have a playground." Varys's smile thinned. "Your humor is a comfort," he said, "though I fear comfort will be scarce if the girls are found." Peter leaned back, spreading his hands. "Found?" he echoed innocently. "What girls?" Varys's gaze remained gentle, but there was something sharp beneath it. "Eddard Stark's daughters," he said. "The ones the Queen took from the Red Keep. The ones the King now roars about as if roar were a net that could catch them." Peter sighed as if burdened. "Tragic," he said. "Terribly tragic. Poor Lord Stark. So honorable, so helpless when honor fails." Varys watched him. "You did not answer," he said. Peter's smile did not waver. "I did," he said. "I said what it was, tragic. Not my doing." Chataya's voice cut in, low and calm. "The watch has never come here like this," she said. "They do not knock, they break. That is not good for business." Peter lifted a hand in apology, though his eyes remained amused. "My dear," he said, "King's Landing is always bad for business. We simply learn to profit from the bad." Varys tilted his head. "And do you profit now?" he asked softly. Peter's smile widened. "Oh, several," he said. "Janos Slynt, for one. A brutish man. Easy to hate. Easy to discard. If Stannis hangs him, the watch trembles and obeys." He shrugged. "Order restored." Varys's eyes were bright. "And the girls?" he asked again, softly persistent. Peter's gaze held his. "If Stannis finds them," he said. Lord Stark becomes grateful. Gratitude is useful. His smile sharpened. If Stannis does not find them, Lord Stark becomes desperate. Desperation is even more useful. Chataya's eyes flashed. They are children, she said, disgust edging her voice. Peter looked at her as if mildly surprised. They are pieces, he said, and his tone made it sound like pity. The world does not care what we wish they were. Varys watched him, and for a heartbeat his smile faded. Something like sadness touched his eyes. The world, he murmured, or the men who shape it. Peter's smile remained. The same thing, he said lightly. A knock came then, hard, abrupt. Not the polite knock of a customer. The knock of men with authority. Chataya stiffened. Peter did not. He only reached beneath the table and closed the ledger with calm fingers, as if tidying before a guest arrived. The door burst inward. Gold cloaks flooded in, spears and swords, their faces grim. At their head was Jacelyn Bywater, thin and sharp, one hand mangled, his eyes cold as execution. Lord Baelish, Bywater said, by order of Lord Stannis Baratheon, you will come with me. Peter rose smoothly. Come with you? He echoed, voice pleasant. To where? A tavern? A cell? A gallows? I do so hate surprises. Bywater's gaze did not flicker. To be questioned, he said. Peter's smile softened into innocence. Question away, he said. I have always enjoyed conversation. Varys stood as well, hands folded, expression serene. How fortunate, he murmured, that you are so fond of words. Peter's eyes met Varys's for a brief instant, and in that look there was calculation, warning, and something almost amused. Because even now, with spears around him, Peter Baelish believed he could talk his way through steel. Bywater gestured, and Gold Cloak stepped in, seizing Peter's arms. Peter did not resist. He only smiled and allowed himself to be led out, as if he were going to a feast rather than a reckoning. Behind him, Varys watched with a soft, unreadable gaze. Outside, the city's boots kept pounding. The lower city clung to the red keep like a bruise beneath a proud face. Flea Bottom was all damp stone and rotting wood, all narrow alleys where the sun rarely reached and the air tasted of piss and smoke. It was a place where children learned hunger before they learned words, and where men learned to kill quietly. Ned rode through it with his cloak pulled tight, flanked by Jory Castle and a handful of Stark men. Ser Barristan Selmy rode at his side, white cloak already grayed by city grime. The sight of the Lord Commander among such squalor drew stares, fearful, resentful, curious. Men shifted away as if whiteness itself were contagious. Ned hated being here. He hated the way every shadow could hide a knife. He hated the way the city swallowed innocence and spat out cruelty. And he hated, most of all, that his daughters were somewhere inside it. A skinny boy with a face too old for his years darted out from a doorway, then froze when he saw the horses. His eyes flicked to the swords, to the armor, to the starkness of northern men in southern streets. He swallowed, ready to run. Ned lifted a hand, slow, showing empty palm. Boy, he called. Come here. The boy hesitated. Jory shifted in his saddle, watching. Ser Barristan's gaze remained steady, not unkind but unwavering. The boy edged closer, drawn by curiosity and the faint hope that a lord might toss him a coin. His feet were bare, caked in mud. His hair was a knot. You seen a carriage? Ned asked, voice low. Plain, guarded, 2 girls inside. The boy's eyes widened at the word girls. Hunger and fear lived in those eyes. So did knowledge. Flea Bottom's children knew more than lords ever would, because they listened where lords never looked. Maybe, the boy said, voice raspy. Jory reached into his purse and flicked a small coin. The boy snatched it out of the air with quick fingers, eyes darting for thieves who might steal it from him. Talk, Ned said. The boy licked his lips. Carriage come through, he muttered. Not up here, down by the river, by the old fishmonger stalls. Men in gold. Big man with burned face. Ned's stomach clenched. Sandor Clegane, he whispered. Ser Barristan's expression tightened. The Hound, he murmured. Then it was no common hiding. Ned's fingers tightened on his reins. Where? He demanded. The boy pointed toward the river, toward where the city's stink thickened. Warehouses, he said. Old ones. Rotten boards. Men don't go there unless they got reason. Did you see the girls? Ned asked, voice raw. The boy hesitated, then nodded quickly. One crying, he said. One trying to bite a guard. His mouth twisted into something like admiration. Little one's fierce. Arya. Ned's vision blurred for a heartbeat. He forced himself to breathe. Good, Ned said, voice hoarse. You did well. Jory flicked the boy another coin. The boy caught it, eyes bright with sudden wealth. Then he vanished into the alleys like smoke. Ned spurred his horse forward, his men following. They rode toward the river, toward the warehouses where the city's bones lay half-rotted. Fog thickened, mixing with smoke. The Blackwater's dark surface glimmered through gaps between buildings, slow and indifferent. As they approached, Ned saw shapes, gold cloaks on corners pretending to be idle. Men with hoods, men watching. Ser Barristan's hand went to his sword hilt. Careful, he warned softly. Ned nodded once. His mouth was dry. He could feel his heartbeat in his throat, could feel the world narrowing toward the place where his children waited. He dismounted near a stack of broken crates. The smell was worse here. Fish rot and river sludge, mingled with tar. A warehouse door stood slightly ajar, a sliver of darkness within. Ned signaled his men forward. Then a voice came from the fog, calm and mocking. Lord Stark, it said, always marching toward trouble. Ned turned sharply. A man stepped out of the mist, gold cloak bright against gray. Jacelyn Bywater. His thin face was set, his cold eyes fixed on Ned. Behind him, Peter Baelish was being dragged along by two gold cloaks, his hands bound, his smile somehow still intact. Lord Baelish, Ned said, surprise cutting through fear. Peter's eyes sparkled. Lord Stark, he said pleasantly. We meet in charming places. Bywater's voice was flat. We have taken him, he said. Lord Stannis commands he be questioned. The watch is searching these warehouses. Ned's gaze flicked toward the cracked door. Then search faster, he said, and his voice shook despite his attempt to steady it. My daughters are inside. Peter's smile softened into something like sympathy. Your daughters, he murmured, and there was a note in his voice that made Ned's skin crawl. Such precious burdens, Honor. Ned stepped closer, staring into Peter's eyes. Where are they? He demanded. Peter's smile did not change. If I knew, he said softly. Don't you think I would tell you? His eyes glittered. I do hate violence. Ned wanted to hit him. He wanted to shake him until truth fell out like coins from a purse. But time was running, and the river waited. Bywater gestured sharply. Gold cloaks moved past, pushing into the warehouse, torches lifting. Shadows jumped on walls inside. A shout rose, then another. The sound of boots on wood. The sharp ring of steel. Ned's blood went cold. He drew his sword and strode into the darkness. Sansa had always believed fear would feel like falling, like slipping from a horse or missing a step on a stair. She had not known it could feel like waiting, like the slow drip of time in a dark room while men spoke outside in voices meant to be unheard. The warehouse chamber smelled of tar and damp rope. A single lantern burned on a crate, its light thin and yellow, stretching shadows into long, clawing shapes. Sansa sat on the floor with her skirts gathered around her like a shield. Her hair had come loose from its pins, and strands stuck to her cheeks where tears had dried. Arya sat beside her, wrists bound with rough rope that had chafed her skin red. Her face was smudged with dirt, her eyes bright with rage. She had tried to bite the man who tied her. She had tried to kick. She had tried to stab with needle until a hard hand had knocked it away. The fury still simmered in her like a small fire refusing to go out. Septa Mordain knelt in the corner, lips moving in prayer. Her voice was barely more than breath. The Seven's names sounded strange in this place, like fine words spoken over filth. Sandor Clegane leaned against a beam, arms folded. His black armor swallowed lanternlight. The burned side of his face was half hidden, making him look almost whole from one angle, monstrous from another. He watched the girls without expression, like a dog chained to duty. A door creaked somewhere beyond, and the sound made Sansa flinch. Arya did not flinch. She leaned forward instead, listening, ready. Footsteps approached. The door opened, and a young man slipped in. A runner in Lannister colors, cloak damp, eyes darting. He held a sealed message as if it were a talisman. Sandor straightened slightly. "Well?" he growled. The runner swallowed. "Orders," he said quickly. "From the Queen." Arya spat on the floor. "Your queen's in a cell," she hissed. The runner's eyes flicked to her, contempt and unease mingling. "Not for long," he muttered, then hurried to Sandor, holding out the message. Sandor took it, broke the seal with a thumb, and read. His eyes moved across the words, and something shifted in his face. Irritation, perhaps, or boredom deepening into annoyance. "What?" Arya demanded. "What's it say?" Sandor ignored her. He looked at the runner. "You tell her," he growled. "This is getting messy." The runner's throat bobbed. "Stannis has the watch," he said quickly. "Janos Slynt's arrested. They're sweeping the streets. Lord Baelish has been taken. The king," he hesitated. "The king's alive still. Angry." Sandor snorted. "The king's always angry." Sansa's voice came out thin. "Please," she whispered. "Please take us back. My father." Sandor's burned lip curled. "Your father's got a sword and honor," he said. "Nay, there's much used down here." Arya glared. "He'll find us," she said, voice fierce. Sandor's gaze slid to her, and for a heartbeat there was something like respect in it, quick, unwilling. "Maybe," he muttered, "if he's lucky." The runner shifted, nervous. "We have to move," he insisted. "Now, there's a ship waiting, a Lannister ship. The Queen wants the girls out before Stannis locks the river." Sansa's breath caught. A ship. West. Away from her father, away from everything she knew. The thought made her chest tighten as if a hand squeezed her heart. Arya's eyes widened, then narrowed into fury. "No," she snarled. "No, I won't." Sandor pushed off the beam. "You will," he said, voice flat. Arya twisted against her ropes, trying to rise. "I'll kill you," she hissed, voice shaking with rage. Sandor leaned down close, his burned face inches from hers. "You'll die before you scratch me," he growled softly. "And your pretty sister will die with you. So shut your mouth." Arya's breathing came fast, but she held his gaze, refusing to look away. Sansa reached for Arya with trembling fingers, as if she could shield her sister from a man twice their size. "Please," she whispered to Sandor, to the gods, to anyone. "Please don't hurt her." Sandor's eyes flicked to Sansa. The lantern light caught the edge of his scar, the raw line of old pain. For a heartbeat something in him faltered. Then his face hardened again. "Hurt?" he scoffed. "Girl, you don't know what hurt is." Septa Mordane's prayer rose louder for a moment, as if fear made her faith frantic. "Mother, have mercy," she whispered. "Warrior, give strength." The runner shifted again. "Now," he urged. "They're close." Outside, faintly, boots sounded far off but growing. Shouted orders. A dog barking. The city's hunt drawing nearer. Sandor cursed under his breath. He grabbed Arya by the rope, hauling her up. Arya kicked, struggling, but the rope held her wrists tight, and Sandor's grip was like iron. Sansa scrambled to her feet, skirts tangling. Her hands shook as she reached for Arya again. Arya jerked away, spitting curses, eyes wild. Sandor shoved them toward the door. "Move," he growled. They stumbled out into the warehouse corridor, lantern light flickering on wet boards. The smell of river grew stronger, and somewhere outside, closing like a net. Ned Stark's fury and fear moved through fog toward the sound of his daughter's breathing. Robert's room felt smaller every hour, as if his wound drew the walls inward. Sweat shone on his brow. His breathing was rough. Yet when Stannis returned and reported the sweep, Robert's eyes sharpened like a predator sensing blood. "They took Baelish?" Robert rasped. Stannis stepped aside, and Gold Cloaks shoved Peter Baelish forward. His fine clothes were rumpled, his hair damp, but his smile remained, as if he had been invited to breakfast rather than dragged to a sick king's bedside. "Your Grace," Peter said smoothly, bowing as much as bound hands allowed. "It warms my heart to see you sitting up. The realm would be dreadfully dull without you." Robert's lips curled. "Save your flattery," he growled. "I'm not Cersei." Peter's eyes glittered. "Of course not," he murmured. "You have far better taste." Ned's hands clenched, anger flaring despite exhaustion. "Where are my daughters?" he demanded. Peter turned his head slightly, smile softening. "My lord," he said gently. "If I knew, I would weep with relief and tell you at once." Stannis's voice cut in, sharp as a whip. "You will not lie," he said. "You will not charm. You will answer." Peter blinked slowly. "Lord Stannis," he said, as if savoring the title. "How delightful to see you in your rightful place. So stern, so certain." His gaze flicked to Robert. "So very different from your brother." Robert's eyes flashed. "Different?" he rasped. "Aye, he's got a spine." Peter's smile widened by a fraction. "And you, your Grace," he said, "have always had a talent for choosing men with spines. It's why you kept Ser Barristan. It's why you chose Lord Stark." His gaze slid to Ned, and something in it gleamed. "Even when spines make men break." Ned lunged forward half a step, but Ser Barristan's hand touched his arm, steadying warning. Stannis stepped closer to Peter. "The Queen moved with watch support," he said. "The gate opened. The carriage waited. Men died." His voice lowered, lethal. "You control coin. You control favors. Did you pay for it?" Peter's eyes remained bright. "My lord," he said, voice mild. "If I were so powerful as you suggest, do you think I would be standing here bound? I would be sitting in your chair." Stannis's face did not change. "Do not play games," he said. Peter sighed, as if burdened by other men's lack of wit. "Very well," he said. "Let us speak plainly. I did not pay Janos Slynt to open any gate. Janos opens gates because gates are what he does." His smile sharpened. "If someone else paid him, perhaps you should ask him." "Janos Slynt will speak," Stannis said coldly. Peter's eyes flicked to Robert. "And if he speaks my name," he murmured, "will you believe him? Or will you remember that Janos Slynt is a man who would sell his own mother for a purse of silver?" Robert's face twisted with pain as he shifted, but his eyes stayed locked on Peter. "Where are the girls?" he demanded. Peter's smile softened into something almost sympathetic. "Somewhere safe," he said. "Somewhere hidden from Stannis's fury and your rage." Stannis's jaw clenched. "You know," he said. Peter's eyes glittered. "I know this city," he replied. "I know how quickly children vanish into it." He tilted his head. "You may search every cellar and sewer. You may hang every thief. You may burn Flea Bottom to ash." His smile thinned. "And still you might not find what you seek." Melisandre's voice came soft as ember. "All things hidden are revealed by fire," she murmured. Robert's gaze slid to her, suspicious and irritated. "Not now," he rasped. Melisandre bowed her head slightly, unoffended. Pycelle stepped forward, clutching his small silver cup. "Your Grace," he wheezed. "You must drink. The pain." Robert's eyes narrowed. "You and your cups," he growled. "Always with the cups." Pycelle trembled. "It will help," he pleaded. Stannis's gaze flicked to the cup, then to Pycelle. Something cold sharpened in his expression, but he said nothing. Yet, Robert took the cup anyway because pain was a tyrant, and he needed his mind clear. He swallowed, grimacing. Peter watched the motion with bright interest, as if even the king's drink was a move in a game. Robert wiped his mouth. "Enough," he rasped. "Stannis. Stark. Sell me." His gaze burned. "Find the girls. Bring them back. And if you find men holding them..." His voice roughened. "I want them dead." Ned's stomach lurched at the brutality, but he understood it. Mercy was a luxury his daughters could not afford. Stannis nodded once. "We will," he said. Robert's gaze snapped back to Peter. "And you," he growled, "you'll sit in a cell until my brother decides what to do with you." Peter's smile did not falter. "Cells are so lonely," he murmured. "Perhaps Lord Varys will visit." Varys, lingering near the door, smiled softly. "I do so enjoy company," he said, "but I find prisons rather drafty." Robert's eyes narrowed at both of them. "Get him out," he rasped. Gold cloaks dragged Peter away. He did not struggle. He only smiled over his shoulder at Ned as if to say, "You will come to me again, one way or another." When the door shut, the room felt heavier. Stannis's gaze lingered on Pycelle's cup. "We are wasting time," he said, voice low. Ned's hands clenched. "My daughters are." "I know," Stannis snapped, and for the first time there was heat in him. "And every breath you spend on grief is a breath that should be spent on action." Ned swallowed his anger because he could not afford to fight Stannis. Not now. Not with his children missing. Robert's breathing rasped. "Go," he ordered, voice rough. "Bring them back to him." Ned bowed, and as he turned to leave, he felt the weight of the king's eyes on his back. Heavy, guilty, determined. Behind him, Stannis's voice was a cold promise. "When the girls are found," he said, "the queen's treason will be named aloud." Robert's silence was answer enough. The realm was already cracking. The only question was whether it would lit cleanly or shatter. Renly did not wait to be caged. He had smiled through Robert's rage, through Stannis's arrival, through the sudden stiffness of the watch. He had laughed at courtly whispers and pretended he was amused rather than alarmed. But beneath the charm, his mind moved like a knife seeking the softest place to enter. When Stannis began to sweep the city, Renly understood what that meant. Order. Control. No room for pretty princes with friends in the reach. He would not kneel to his brother. Not to Stannis. Not when the realm could be his instead. He left at night, when torches burned low and men were tired. He left through a side gate that should have been watched more closely, but gold cloaks had always been more loyal to coin than duty. Purse passed hands. Faces turned away. The gate creaked open. Renly rode first, green cloak snapping, his face calm as if he were taking an evening ride for pleasure. Loras Tyrell rode beside him, armor gleaming faintly, his helm tucked under one arm. Their men followed, few, swift, chosen. As they passed through the gate, Loras leaned close. "Stannis will call this treason," he murmured. Renly smiled in the dark. "Stannis calls everything treason," he whispered back. "It's how he makes himself feel righteous." Loras's eyes were hard. "Robert is still alive," he said. "He might live long enough to." Renly's smile thinned. "Robert is a wounded boar," he said quietly. "He may thrash, he may gore, but he will bleed out." His gaze fixed ahead, toward the road that led to the Reach. "And when he does, the realm will not want Stannis. The realm will want someone it can love." Loras's jaw clenched. "And that is you," he said, not quite question, not quite accusation. Renly's smile returned, bright even in shadow. "That is us," he corrected softly. They rode hard into the night, leaving King's Landing behind like a sinking ship. Behind them, the Red Keep stood black against the sky, holding secrets and hostages and a dying king. Ahead lay Highgarden, golden and green, full of bread and banners and the kind of beauty that could make men forget law. Renly did not look back. In the castle, when Stannis learned Renly was gone, his fury would be cold and absolute. The realm was losing brothers as quickly as it lost peace. Stannis did not pray in seps. He did not kneel for comfort, but he stood before Melisandre's fire because he believed in truth, and Melisandre offered truth in a form he could hold: visions, certainty, the promise that the world's chaos had a shape. The chamber was small, windowless. The brazier's flames licked upward, casting red light that made stone look like flesh. The air smelled of heat and strange spices. Melisandre raised her hands over the fire, fingers long and pale. The flames responded as if listening, twisting, rising. Davos stood back, arms folded, his stomach knotted. He wanted to be anywhere else, on a deck with honest wind, on a pier with honest salt. Fire was never honest. Fire took and took. "What do you see?" Stannis demanded. Melisandre's eyes reflected flame. "A crown," she murmured. "Iron, heavy, hungry." Her lips curved faintly, and beneath it, shadows. Stannis's jaw clenched. "Speak plainly," he snapped. Melisandre turned her head slightly, and in that movement the firelight made her look almost inhuman. Too calm, too certain. "The lion moves," she said. "The wolf bleeds. The rose opens." Her voice softened. "And your brother's blood spills into dark water." Stannis's gaze sharpened. "Renly," he said. Melisandre's smile was faint. "A younger stag," she murmured, "crowned with flowers, loved by those who fear your law." Stannis's hand clenched into a fist. Davos saw it, the tension like rope pulled tight. "He flees," Melisandre continued, "and in fleeing he gathers men. Green banners, golden roses, songs." Stannis's voice was ice. "He is a traitor," he said. Davos swallowed. "He is your brother," he said quietly. Stannis did not look at him. "Brothers do not steal crowns," he said. Melisandre's hands hovered over the flames. "The fire shows a path," she murmured. "A path through darkness, but it requires sacrifice." Davos' esca tightened. "Always sacrifice," he muttered. Melisandre's eyes slid to him, warm and pitiless. "Everything costs," she said softly. "Even justice." Stannis's gaze remained fixed on the fire. "I will pay," he said, and the words sounded like a vow carved into stone. Davos felt a chill. He had followed Stannis because he believed Stannis would not be swayed by whispers and pretty lies. Now he watched Stannis listen to flame, and he wondered what kind of truth burned inside it. Melisandre's voice lowered. "The girls," she murmured. "Two wolves in chains. One cries, one bites." Her smile deepened by a fraction. "The biting one will slip free if the net is cut at the right place." Stannis's eyes narrowed. "Where?" Melisandre's gaze flicked to the map on the table. Her finger traced toward the Blackwater, toward the river's edge. "Dark water," she said. "Tor. Rope. The smell of fish rot." Her finger stopped. "A place where men hide what they steal." Davos's heart jumped. "Warehouses," he whispered. Stannis's jaw clenched. "Then we strike there," he said. Melisandre lowered her hands. The flames settled, suddenly ordinary, just fire again. "Strike," she murmured, "and do not hesitate. Hesitation is where shadows breed." Stannis turned away, cloak swirling, already issuing orders to men outside. Davos lingered a heartbeat, staring at the brazier as if it might spit out a demon. Melisandre's voice followed him, soft as smoke. "The Lord of Light has shown you the way, Davos Seaworth." Davos did not answer. He only left, carrying unease like a weight in his chest. The first scream was not a scream at all. It was a sound like a man drowning in his own breath. Ned was halfway down the corridor when he heard it. He turned and ran, boots pounding stone, his cloak flaring behind him. Ser Barristan was already moving, faster than a man of his years should have been able to move, white cloak snapping. They burst into the king's chambers to find chaos. Robert was half upright, eyes wide, face gray, his hand clawing at his throat as if trying to tear something out. His breath came in harsh, choking gasps. His bandages darkened where his wound strained under the sudden struggle. Grand Maester Pycelle stood beside the bed, trembling, a silver cup in his hand. The cup slipped from his fingers and hit the floor with a sharp clang, spilling pale liquid that stank faintly sweet. "Help him!" Ned shouted, rushing forward. Ser Barristan drew his sword in a single smooth motion, the steel whispering. "Stand back!" he commanded, voice like a blade. Pycelle's mouth worked soundlessly. It was the poppy," he stammered. "To ease." Robert convulsed, coughing wetly. Blood flecked his lips. Ned grabbed Robert's shoulder, feeling the heat of fever beneath skin. "Robert," he said urgently, "breathe." Robert's eyes locked on him, wild and furious even through pain. His hand seized Ned's wrist with startling strength. Then the door slammed open again. Stannis strode in like a storm given human shape. His eyes took in the cup, the spilled liquid, Pycelle's trembling, Robert's choking, and something in his face went terrifyingly still. "What did you give him?" Stannis demanded. Pycelle sagged as if the question struck him. "Milk of the poppy," he wheezed. "Only to dull the pain, my lord. The king, he needs rest." Stannis moved so fast Ned barely saw it. His hand shot out and seized Pycelle by the throat, hauling the old man upward as if he weighed nothing. Pycelle's feet scrabbled uselessly. His eyes bulged. His hands clawed at Stannis's wrist. "You drugged him," Stannis said, voice low, deadly. "While the queen's treason unfolds and my brother's breath is all that holds the realm together." Pycelle gasped, face reddening.
No, Isue.
Stannis's grip tightened. "Stannis!"
Ned barked.
Stannis's eyes flicked to Ned, cold fury blazing. "He is killing Robert," he said. Ser Barristan stepped closer, sword still drawn. "My lord," he said evenly, "release him. We do not hang men in the king's chamber." Stannis's jaw clenched. For a heartbeat Ned thought he would ignore them all, that he would crush Pycelle's throat and call it justice. Then Robert made another choking sound, softer now, weaker. Stannis released Pycelle with a shove. The maester collapsed, coughing, clutching his neck, sobbing with terror. "You will be silent," Stannis said. Servants scrambled, faces pale. Someone brought water. Someone brought cloth. Someone wept quietly. Ned held Robert's shoulders, trying to steady him. Robert's breathing eased slightly, but he was still gray, sweat shining on his brow. Stannis crouched beside the bed, his face close to Robert's, his voice tight. "Robert," he said, the word rawer than Ned had ever heard from him. "Stay with me." Robert's eyes fluttered. He stared at Stannis, as if trying to focus through haze. His mouth moved, but no sound came. Stannis's hand clenched the bed frame until his knuckles whitened. Pycelle wheezed from the floor. It was too much. Perhaps his wound, he is weak. Stannis's head snapped toward him. "You will be silent," he said. Varys appeared in the doorway like a ghost drawn by chaos, his face arranged in concerned softness. "Oh dear," he murmured. "How dreadful. The king's health is so fragile. We must be careful not to." Stannis's gaze cut to him. "Careful," he said. "Yes." His voice was a promise. "We will be very careful." Robert's breathing steadied, shallow and rough. His fingers tightened around Ned's wrist again, weak but insistent. Ned leaned close. "I'm here," he whispered. "I'm here." Robert's eyes opened slightly. His gaze flicked past Ned to Stannis. He tried to speak. At last, a rasp came out, barely audible. "Hold," Robert whispered. Stannis leaned in, as if the word were a command that could anchor him. "I am," he said tightly. "I am holding." Robert's lips trembled in something like a grin that became a grimace. "Don't let," he rasped, and then his breath caught again, and the rest was lost. Stannis's face hardened. He stood abruptly, towering over Pycelle. "You will be taken," he said coldly. "You will be questioned. And if I find you acted at the Queen's behest," his eyes burned, "you will beg for death before it comes." Pycelle sobbed, shaking. "I serve the crown," he whimpered. Stannis's mouth curled. "Then you should have served it better." Gold cloaks moved in and hauled Pycelle away, his pleas fading down the corridor.
Ned watched, shaken.
The attempt, if it was an attempt, had been close. Too close. Robert's life was a thread, and too many hands reached for it. Ser Barristan wiped blood from Robert's lip with a cloth, his face grave. "He lives," he said quietly. For now. Stannis stood at the foot of the bed, eyes fixed on Robert as if sheer will could keep him breathing. Outside, the city's sweep continued. The net tightened, and somewhere near the river, two girls waited to be moved like stolen goods, while men in power fought over the breath of a dying king. Fog rolled off the Blackwater like a living thing, thick and cold, swallowing torchlight until it became dull halos in the mist. The docks were quieter than they should have been for this hour. Too few honest workers, too many men standing still with hands near swords. Ned came through the fog with his men, moving fast, guided by Bywater's cold direction and the boy's earlier pointing finger. He heard the river's slow slap against wood. He smelled tar and wet rope. He tasted fear. A ship loomed ahead, dark-hulled, sails furled, gangplank set. Men moved on deck in hurried silhouettes. A carriage stood nearby, plain and muddy, its wheels half-caked. Gold cloaks clustered around it, spears angled. Ned's blood went cold. "Sansa," he whispered, and then he saw her. A pale shape near the gangplank, hood pulled low, held by a man's grip, and beside her, dragged through fog, a smaller shape struggling like a wildcat. Arya, bound, furious. Ned's throat tightened so hard he could not breathe. "Now," he hissed. His men surged forward. Steel flashed. The first gold cloak barely had time to turn before Jory Castle's sword took him in the throat. Blood sprayed, dark in the fog. Shouts rose. Men scrambled. A horn sounded short, sharp. Ser Barristan moved like death in a white cloak, his blade a silver line. He cut down one man, then another, his face calm, his movements precise. Age had not stolen his speed. It had only refined it. Ned drove straight toward the gangplank, his sword biting through a spearman's shoulder. He shoved the man aside and pushed forward, eyes locked on his daughter. "Sansa!" he shouted. Her head snapped up. Even through hood and fog he saw her eyes wide, wet, desperate. "Father!" she cried, and the sound tore something in him. Arya screamed too, not fear but rage. "Father, I can?" She twisted, and suddenly the rope at her wrists loosened. Someone had cut it, half enough for her to wrench one hand free. Sandor Clegane stood near her, black armor slick with fog. His helm was off. His burned face was twisted into something that was not quite anger, not quite pity. His sword was drawn, but he did not swing it yet. Ned saw him and felt fury surge. "Hound!" he roared. Sandor's eyes flicked to him. "Stark!" he growled, voice rough. "You picked a bad place to play hero." Ned hacked down another gold cloak, then surged forward. "Move!" he snarled. "Or die!" Sandor's mouth curled. "Die?" he echoed, and there was humor in it that tasted like bile. "Everyone dies." On the ship, men shouted orders. The gangplank shuddered as sailors began to haul it, ready to pull it up. Sansa stumbled, dragged toward the deck by a Lannister man with a knife in his fist. She fought weakly, tears streaking her cheeks. "No!" she sobbed. "Please!" Ned surged toward her, but a gold cloak slammed into him from the side, spear haft cracking against his ribs. Pain flared. He stumbled, rage keeping him upright. He struck back, blade opening the man's belly. The fog thickened with the smell of blood. Arya, half free now, twisted hard and tore the remaining rope enough to slip her second hand out. She grabbed for something, anything, and her fingers closed on a fallen dagger. She whirled, small and fast, slashing at a gold cloak's thigh. The man screamed and fell. "Arya Stark!" Ned shouted, the name ripping out of him. Arya turned toward him, eyes fierce. "I'm here," she yelled back. Sandor grabbed for her, but Arya ducked under his arm like a slipping eel. She ran toward Ned, feet pounding wet wood, dagger clenched tight. Sandor cursed and stepped after her, then stopped, as if something invisible held him. His gaze flicked to the ship, to Sansa being dragged upward, to the men on deck readying to shove off. His burned face tightened. Conflict pulled him in two directions, and for a heartbeat Ned saw it. Saw the man beneath the monster, the soldier beneath the dog. Ned reached Arya and snatched her to him, one arm wrapping her tight. Arya clung for half a heartbeat, then twisted to look back, eyes wide with sudden terror. "Sansa!" she screamed. Sansa reached for them from the gangplank, her fingers stretching, her face contorted with pleading. "Father!" she cried. "Don't leave me!" Ned's heart cracked. He surged forward again, dragging Arya with him, but Ser Barristan's voice cut through the fog like steel. "My lord!" Barristan shouted. "They're cutting the plank." Ned looked and saw it. Sailors hacking at the rope, men hauling, the gangplank already lifting. The gap between dock and ship widened like a mouth opening. Ned shoved forward anyway, madness and love driving him. He could not let Sansa go. He could not choose one daughter over the other. A man stepped into his path, Sandor Clegane. The hound's sword lifted, blocking Ned's approach. His eyes were hard, his face grim. "Stop!" Sandor growled. Ned's voice came raw. "Move!" Sandor's jaw clenched. "If you rush that plank," he said low, "you die, and your little wolf dies with you." Arya snarled, dagger raised. "I'll kill you," she hissed. Sandor's gaze flicked to her, something like pain flashing. "No, you won't," he muttered. Behind him, Sansa sobbed, reaching, her hands grasping at empty air as the plank lifted higher. "Please," she cried. "Please." Ned's entire body shook. He stared at Sandor, hatred and desperation burning. Sandor held his gaze, and then, so quietly Ned almost did not notice, the hound shifted his stance just enough to open a narrow path. Not a full path, not salvation, but a choice. Ned could throw himself forward and try to leap the widening gap, risking everything on a desperate jump, risking Arya falling with him, risking losing both. Or he could hold Arya tight and live, and watch Sansa be taken into fog and water and war. He heard Robert's rasp in his mind, "Hold fast, Ned, don't you break." He heard Sansa's cry, and it nearly shattered him. The gangplank jerked up. The ship's deck pulled away. The G.A.P. widened beyond human reach. Ned's knees went weak. He fell back a step, clutching Arya so tightly she gasped. Sansa's fingers slipped from the air. She stumbled backward, dragged by the man with the knife, swallowed by men and shadow on deck. Her scream rose once more, high, raw, and then the ship turned, its dark hull sliding into fog. Ned stood frozen on the dock, blood on his sword, one daughter in his arms, the other vanishing into the river mist. Ser Barristan stepped to his side, breathing hard, white cloak spattered with mud and gore. His eyes were grim with pity and fury. "It's not over," Barristan said quietly. Ned's voice came out broken. "No," he whispered. In the fog, the ship's lanterns dwindled like dying stars. Arya clung to him now, trembling, her fury cracked open by fear. "Father," she whispered, voice small for the first time, "we have to get her back." Ned stared into the mist where Sansa had disappeared, and something inside him hardened into cold, brutal clarity. "Yes," he said, voice low, "we do."